Hello, good morning. Today we'll start with the module 5, that is RTOS and IDE for embedded system. RTOS is real-time operating system and IDE for embedded system design. So operating system basics. So already you know operating system. What is an operating system? The operating system acts as a bridge between the user application or task and the underlying system resource through a set of system functionality and services. That is nothing but it acts as an interface between the computer user and a computer hardware. So it acts as a bridge or interface between the user application and the system resources. The primary function of an operating systems are to make the system convenient to use and organize and manage the system resources efficiently and correctly. So the user has to use the system resources, whatever it might be, any hard CPU, network card, or whatever it is, the system has to work properly and organize and manage the system resources efficiently and correctly. Now this is the basic component of an operating system. You can see user application and underlying software, and these are the services that is provided by the kernel, and whatever the services is there in the operating system, that is provided to user application through the application programming interface. Here you can see that arrow mark between the user application and memory management, that is so that occurs through the application programming interface, and here between the IO system management and the underlying hardware, that is an arrow mark is there, that block and the underlying hardware, that is through the device driver interfaces. These are the memory management, process management, time management, file system management, input output system management. These are all certain services provided by the kernel. So here memory management means how much memory has to be allocated for each process, for each application, and how much memory is given, that is considered by the kernel. And process, and which process has to run, which process will take much time, so that is taken care by the process management. Time management, how long has to give for the particular process or particular application, that will be given by the time management. And file system management is nothing but it's a collection of files which contains the information, either the files can be in any format. And IO system management, so here whatever the input is connected to the system or output is connected to the system, how it can be managed, how it can be communicate with each other, that is done by the IO system management. So these are all the services which is provided by the kernel, that is operating system. Okay, so in detail about this memory management, these are services we'll discuss now. Now the kernel is the core of the operating system, and it is responsible for managing the system resources and communication among the hardware and the system services. System resources, either it can be CPU, video card, hard drive, memory, it can be anything. And also, so the kernel main intention is to mainly manages all the system resources, and it will communicate among all the hardware, either it can be input output devices or anything. Kernel acts as an abstract layer between the system resources and a user applications. So it is a layer, and kernel contains a set of system libraries and service. Just now we have discussed what are the libraries: memory management and process management, time management, system management. So these are all certain services which is provided by the kernel. Now in detail we'll discuss about that. Process management. Process management includes setting up a memory for the process, and loading process code into memory, allocating system resources, that means the process, where the process has to be located, and which process has to be loaded, and allocating system resources, what type of resources has to be allocated, whether processor has to allocate or RAM has to allocate. So what that system resources has to be allocated for the particular process, and scheduling and managing the execution of the process, which process has to run now and which process has to next it has to terminate, that will be done by this process management. And setting up and managing the process control block. So this process control block is a data structure used by the computer operating system to store all information about a process, like when the process is created and what it is using, what is the length of the process. So the entire thing will be stored in the process control block. So that setting up and managing process control block, so that is done by the process management. and inter-process communication and synchronization. That is when the multiple processes are there, they have to communicate with each other in order to share the resources or anything, and there must be a synchronization. So that is also done by the process management. And process termination or deletion, etc. So process termination is nothing but when process completes its work, it has to be terminated so that the space will be free and that memory will be free. So because of that, process termination has to be done. So that is done by the process management. Totally the process has to be created, and it has to work, and it has to manage, and it has to communicate with each other, and there must be a synchronization. So the entire thing will be done by the process management. Next, primary management. So this is referred to a volatile memory where processes are loaded and variables are and shared data are stored. So volatile is nothing but here the data is not stored permanently, and here the memory management unit of the kernel is responsible for keeping track of which part of the memory is currently used by the which process. So there will be multiple processes will be there. So it is this MMU, memory management unit, keep track of which memory is currently it is used and which is not used, and so that that will be done by this MMU, and allocating and deallocating memory space on a need basis. Because allocating a memory space, there is a memory space, so if there is a allocation is there, it has to allocate, whether it is contiguously it has to allocate, that will be done by the MMU. And deallocating a memory, already I said process termination, when the process terminates, in that case that memory allocated for that is not required, no more it is required. So in that case we can deallocate that so that that memory can be made available for the other process. Again, that is done by the memory management unit. So mainly the primary memory management is nothing but it's a RAM, or it is a volatile memory where shared memory data or variables that will be loaded here, and mainly it is keep track of what which part of the memory is used, and whether which memory is not required, that will be allocating. Deallocation is done by the this memory management unit. And file system management. A file is a collection of related information. File could be a program, either it can be text file or image file or word file or document, it can be any format. Okay, so that file will be there, and here there is a file system management service of a kernel is responsible for the creation, deletion and alteration of file. The creation of a file and deletion of a file. Alteration is nothing but if there is a addition or updation, or so that updation if you want to do for the file, so that will be done by the alteration of the file. And creation, deletion and alteration of directories, that is nothing but directory is nothing but collection of files of related information of the files that will be stored in a single directory. So that creation, deletion, alteration, suppose if you want to add certain files, or suppose some files you need to delete files from the directory, so that entire thing will be done by the file system management. And saving of files in the secondary storage memory, that is nothing but hard disk or a pen drive or floppy disk, so that is done by the file system management. Providing automatic allocation of file space based on the amount of free running space available. So it is it will be keep tracking of the which space is available, and it automatically allocate file space for that. And providing filing flexible naming conversion of the files. Whenever you want, you can change the file conversion, file name conversion. So file management is nothing but, file is nothing but it is a collection of information. It can be any format, and here the creation of the file, deletion of file, and creation of and deletion of directories and saving files, the entire the management file work will be taken care through this file system management. And then IO system management. IO system is nothing but device which is connected with the computer. Either it can be any of the input or any of the output. It can be keyboard, or it can be mouse, or output is nothing but scanner, printer or anything. So these are the input output device you can consider. Kernel is responsible for routing the IO request, and request coming from different user applications to the appropriate IO device of the system. So whenever you type the thing through the keyboard, so that has to take a input, that is a request for the device that we are entering the input. Okay, so output means when we want to display a certain thing, in that case it has to display through the display screen. So that entire thing taken care by the kernel. So that is done by the IO system management, and direct access to IO devices is not allowed. So in some cases directly that IO device cannot be accessed, so that is established to the application programming interface. So user directly cannot access the IO devices through API. We can access this, and kernel maintains list of all the IO devices of the system. So first kernel actually it maintains what are the IO devices connected to the system. This list may be available in advance at the time of building the kernel. Some kernels dynamically update the list of available devices as and when a new device is installed. For example, when you install a pen drive, automatically you can see the pop-up message that new device is detected. So in that way the kernel is keep track of all the newly available devices in the system. So device manager, there is a device manager in the IO system management. So of the kernel is responsible for the handling IO related operation, loading and unloading of the device driver, and exchanging information and the system specific control signal to and from the device. So loading is nothing but adding the data to the device drivers, and unloading from the device drivers, and exchanging information of the system specific control signal to and from the device. So device driver is nothing but is a software you can consider a group of files that enable one or more hardware devices to communicate with computer operating system. So that communication that will be done through the device manager. Next is secondary storage management, deals with the managing secondary storage memory devices connected to the system. Secondary storage, either it can be floppy disk or pen drive or a hard disk. So that is they are considered as secondary storage management. Secondary memory is used as a backup medium for programs and data. So boot memory, whatever is there, that will be stored in the secondary memory, whereas main memory is volatile, but in this memory it is a non-volatile. In most of the system, secondary storage is kept in hard disk. Secondary storage management service kernel deals with the disk storage allocation, disk scheduling, and free disk space management. So in the disk, how much data has to be stored in the disk, and disk scheduling, which disk has to be scheduled first, and next which disk has to be scheduled next, that will be done by the secondary storage management service. Free disk space management, so that is also done by this secondary storage management. And protection system, the protection deals with the implementing the security policies to restrict the access of system resources, because there is a system resources like network card, motherboard, video card, disk drive. So all the system resources cannot be accessed by the users. So there is a certain security policies are used, and but user by the different application or process and different uses. Interrupt handler, kernel provides interrupt handler mechanism for all external or internal interrupt generated by the system. These are the important services offered by the kernel of an operating system. So these are the process management, which process has to be. So these are all the services provided by the kernel, like scheduling of the process, creation of the process, and taking the information of the process, and the memory management. So in the memory management, you will be having the primary memory and secondary memory, how that memory is allocated for each process, and how we can allocate, how you can deallocate, that will be done by the memory management. And time management, for a particular process how much time we need to give, and that will be done by the time management. File system management, again file creation, deletion, updation, or where it has to store, that will be done by the file system management. And IO system management, so again that properly it has to take the request, and properly it has to respond for the IO request. Entire these services provided by the kernel services. So these are the certain important services offered by the kernel of an operating system. In addition to these services, many operating systems offer a number of add-on system component services to the kernel, like network communication, network management, user interface graphics, timer services, error handler, database management, etc. are the example of such component services. Kernel provides various kernel application services hosted by the kernel to the user application through a standard application programming interface. So whatever that kernel services is there, that will be provided to the user through a application programming interface. User application can avail API calls to access the various kernel application services. Next, kernel space and user space. The application and services classified into two categories, namely user application and kernel application. The whatever the services is there, that will be divided into two groups. One is user application and other one is kernel application. The program code corresponding to the kernel application or services are kept in a contiguous area of memory and is protected from the unauthorized access by the user, programmer, application. So the such type of memory space is considered as an kernel space. So there are certain services or application that must be protected by the unauthorized access, and that will be stored in the contiguous memory. That will be considered as an kernel memory. All user applications are loaded to specific area of primary memory, and that memory is referred as a user space. So whatever that user application that user application whatever is there, that will be stored in a particular memory, primary memory, that is considered as an what? User space. This partitioning, kernel space and user space, that will be done by the operating system. The same thing you can see here, the partitioning of memory into kernel and user space is purely operating system. So in the memory, in the primary memory, how much ever memory might be given to kernel and user. So mainly main essential services are essential application services on that which has to be protected, that will be in the kernel, and user application will be in the user space. Okay, next is actually different approaches are adopted for building the operating system kernel based on the kernel design. Kernels can be classified into monolithic and micro kernel. So monolithic kernel is nothing but all kernel services run in a kernel space. All kernel modules run within the same memory. So here you can see the diagram. All the application services is there that can be run in the single kernel itself, in a single kernel thread. The major drawback of monolithic kernel is that any error or failure in any one of the kernel module leads to crashing of the entire kernel application. So there is a multiple services are there, many services, many applications are there. So all the applications are stored in a single kernel. So if there is any clashes or if there is any failure in that, so the entire kernel has to be replaced. Entire kernel has to be restarted, entire thing you need to do. So that is a major drawback of the monolithic kernel. So here the example for this is Linux, Solaris, MS-DOS. So these are the certain example for the monolithic kernel. And here microkernel. So this is entirely different from the monolithic kernel. So here it incorporates only essential set of operating services into the kernel. Okay, so only essential. What is that booting program? A certain essential set of operating system services will be kept in the kernel, and rest of the operating system services are implemented program known as servers. So only essential will be stored in the kernel, and other services that will be stored as a servers that will be stored in the servers which run in the user space. The memory management, timer system and interrupt handlers are the essential services which forms the part of the microcontroller. So this memory management, timer system, so these are considered as an essential services, memory management and all. So that will be considered as a part of the kernel service, and other like other user application, other services will be placed in the server. So the benefits of the microkernel based design are robustness, that if the problem is encountered in any of the services like file management, it can be file management or anything which runs as a server, can be reconfigured and restarted without the restarting the entire OS. So here chances of corruption of kernel services are ideally zero. So file system, if any file is corrupted, only that file can be taken, or if only any of the device driver is corrupted, so only that can be reinstalled, and it is not necessary the entire kernel has to be reinstalled or restarted. So that is the robustness, that is one of the benefit of the microkernel and configurability. So any services which runs as a server application can be changed without the need to restart the whole system. This makes the system dynamically configurable. So whatever the service is not proper, or if it is failure, in that case only that server can be restarted and you can perform the application. It is not necessary the entire kernel has to be restarted. That is the major benefit of the microkernel. So in the microkernel, remember, all only essential services like memory management, timer system and interrupt handlers, that will be placed in the part of the microkernel, and other services will be placed as a servers. So if there is any failure in the any of the other services, only the servers has to update, not the entire kernel. So but in the monolithic, in monolithic, entire all the services are placed in the kernel, so the entire thing has to be updated. So this is the microkernel module. You can see here microkernel with the essential services like memory management, process management, timer management, that will be placed in the microkernel, and file management, other services, that will be kernel services running on the user space, that will be placed in servers and application. If there is any failure in the servers, that can be updated. It is not necessary to update the microkernel. Okay, so these are the certain thing here. So we have discussed about the operating system basics, certain services provided by the kernel, and then that based on the application services are divided into monolithic and monolithic kernel and microkernel. Monolithically, all the services are placed in a single kernel, whereas microkernel, that is divided into essential and non-essential services. Okay, thank you.